I love it. This is going to be a fun one. And I decided this would be kind of spontaneous and off the cuff and out of the blue. And that comment was perfect. It was the main topic and the main focus I wanted to really get into here at the beginning, which was, I guess, what exactly is a narcissist? What makes a narcissist? And I've questioned myself and my own integrity many times. Like, what are my intentions here, on YouTube? And I did make a live cast the other night where I talked about other YouTubers and all the different sponsors, NordVPN and HelloFresh, and how many of these companies are complete shit. And, I feel like it's my duty to rub that in, kind of, at times. But it's only because I want the internet to be not a safe space for people, but a fair space for people. What I would like, my ideal version of the internet, of course, is having, the ability for people uh, to log on and find what they want without the bullshit. Everybody knows the first page of Google is nonsense and it's just a bunch of ads and people who have paid to have their, websites first. But even though people know that, still 70% of people just click on the first thing they see when they get online and don't really do much research. But I think all of us are a little pulled into the world of the internet, and even people who don't post videos, for example. I can't help it. And as a creator, if you want to call it that, or a guy who makes videos, whatever it might be, I'll check my stats sometimes, but usually I don't really care. But I think removing the thumbs down option was the worst thing YouTube did. Well, one of them, but because the stats were so important to people and seeing if people were trying to bullshit them or whatnot. And there's a lot of crap online, but these are the things we need as users of the internet: the ability to rate the shit we watch, to turn down stuff we don't like. It's easy enough to just click between different things. How many of us just scroll and scroll and scroll and never really get anywhere? It's the bottomless pit of scrolling. And social media, the dopamine rush we get from it, it's such a distraction. In fact, there's a YouTuber named Drew Gooden, and he does some younger guy, he does some pretty funny videos, and he did one about a dopamine fast. And he was talking about this app that you download, and of course you have to pay for it. And it was, it congratulates you and has a leaderboard for people who spend the least time on the internet because it monitors your phone. But at the same time, there was a leaderboard for the people who spent the most time on the app. I was like, isn't that ironic? It really, there are no easy ways to detox from the internet other than to step back and stop looking, stop holding our phone. I have the same problem as everyone else. I'm not immune to any of these issues. I find myself, if I'm not looking at my phone, looking at the TV, and the worst thing I find myself doing is when I'm sitting there looking at my phone and looking up at the TV, waiting for the next part of a show or a commercial, whatever it might be. It's absurd, and I know better. Shame on me. I get it. But we all do it, my whole family. And it's everybody else's family and every person I know. Now, I know a few people who are really good about not getting, not using their phones. I give props to those people. But especially during COVID and lockdown, a lot more people just got stuck using their phones and sitting at home and scrolling, and that's what we got used to doing. I will say this: I have extreme limits. I do not use TikTok or Twitter. And when Drew Gooden was talking about his addiction, he was saying he spends hours a day on Twitter. And my thought was, my God, like, Twitter to me seems like the biggest waste of time I can imagine. I mean, there's justifications for YouTube. I always hear people say, well, I watch YouTube, but, it's educational and I'm getting videos and stuff. But, and I get that. It is true. And it really depends on content and context. I thought of this. A guy gets on a train and he sees two people sitting in seats next to each other. And one kid sitting here typing away on his phone. And then there's an older lady reading a book. And the person might be thinking, right on, well, good for her for reading a book. And then you find out the kid's typing out, like, something for a major paper he's publishing, or he's looking at a journal, a medical journal, and the other lady's reading some romance book. You just don't know. You just don't know. And just because somebody's using one format over another doesn't mean it's better. So yes, using the internet can be superior to other forms if you're trying to learn certain things, but most people aren't using their phones to educate themselves. They're using them to watch the news, which I'd love to think that's educational, or playing Flappy Bird or some shit like that, And it is what it is. I mean, so anyway, as a person who uses the internet and who has uploaded all these videos, as I said in the beginning, I ask myself, am I a narcissist? Like, what does that even mean? And of course, by definition, I'm not. I have major insecurities that I'm aware of about myself. I always feel awkward. Half the videos I don't even upload. And, the side that I put on to the world, even when I'm being straightforward like I am right now, I'm always straightforward with you all. And I say, I have, insecurities about myself. I know what it's like to have, especially growing up, I had bad acne and I was always self-conscious, and I've never thought of myself as better than other people. But in my adolescence, there was a time when I was in my 20s where I thought I knew so much better than the older people. I knew how the world should work and kind of had that young socialist mentality. And, I overcame that when I realized I didn't know what the hell I was talking about, and things are much more complicated and not so black and white. And so naturally, when the internet became a method of communication, it was something I wanted to use to express my ideas to the world. And I'm really grateful I found a YouTube channel where I can do that, a place where I can actually express my idea. And by the way, hello to everyone, and thanks for coming. There's 24 people I see now. That's more than I expected with a spontaneous live cast. So cheers to you all, and thanks for being a part of the channel. Thanks for being a subscriber, if you are a subscriber. And so let's get into it. We already have, but we're going to go farther. We're going to talk about the lost boys of Facebook and the Twitter problems, Instagram, all that shit. I mean, how far can you really go? You see, it really depends on where you're at when you're visiting one particular part of the internet. There are a lot of toxic arguments on Twitter, and I downloaded it a couple of years ago because I wanted to bitch at somebody. I'll be honest, it was a place where I was like, I wanted to respond to something that was bullshit. And so I signed up for Twitter, and within less than a month, I ditched the app. And this is one of the keys I've learned. A very simple thing is, even if you still have an account somewhere, or you can still access your account or still use the app, just delete the app from your phone and go straight to the website if you need to get to it remotely. And disable all notifications. That's like one of the simplest things I've done to improve my well-being in life, is to disable all notifications. And how many do you really need? When have you ever got anything? It's like so many people say, if I really need to know something, somebody will tell me about it in my personal life. And that's what I've found to be true most of the time. When I put on my old man glasses and I say hello to everybody. So hello everyone. Hello HRC. Hello James. Hello Louise. Wait, hot retarded chicks. Your little anagram is HRC. You're just like Hillary. Is that you, Hillary? Hillary Rodham Clinton. Hey James. Hello Louise. Hello Chris. Good to see you. Hello no one. Hello Pete. Hello Biff. Hello B4 Stable. Good to see you. Thank you. Hello Infected Chris. And Ryan. And who else? Abstract Productions. Hello. Husky Love Music. And Bobby. Right on. All right. Good to see you all. And I appreciate you all. So where was I going with this? And as I say, you can always direct the discussion. After all, the live cast is not just for me, it's for those who decided to join me. But I think that this is something that we all kind of share. I feel like at least half of you out there, and I'm guessing vastly more than half, at least find yourself feeling a little bit guilty once in a while of how much time you're spending on your phone, or it may be for you, it's playing games. It's not just phones. We're talking about technology. And when I was back in the 80s, it was all about watching too much TV, right? And but then video games came around, and definitely that was a major part of it. But it wasn't as prevalent as it is today. Gamers today play a lot more than we did back then, given there were some gamers back in the day that played immensely. But that's neither here nor there. The point being that we all like to distract ourselves. And it's so much easier than even putting a cartridge in a player, or even distracting ourselves by turning on the TV, when we just have this device in our pocket everywhere we go 24/7. So, like I said, I delete my notifications and the apps on my phones, except YouTube. And then I also don't put my phone in my room. I didn't realize how bad some people had it, how bad their addiction was. They said there are people who wake up like 3 or 4 times a night to check their fucking messages and emails and stuff. They said the average person checks their email like, I can't even remember, like 1,000 times a day. I mean, I feel bad. That's probably why people get upset, because I only check my email like once every week or something. I'm like, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you sooner. But same with texts, even, I'll just mark it for later and get back to it. And people in this modern atmosphere and society really expect you to get back to them right away. And so social media and the internet in general has given us kind of a hurried attitude. We feel like we always have to be doing something. And as I always say, it's like you always feel like you're trying to get to the next thing. It's like my mind, at least, is always racing to the next thing. And that's just that's the kind of person I already am. I'm an intense person. But it's definitely increased during the last several years. And I think the internet plays a huge role in it. So, when it comes back to the narcissism and talking about, the things we share online, it's different. The things we consume are different than the things we share. A buddy of mine a while back said he posted something and it got a lot of likes. And he actually said he felt kind of guilty because it kind of gave him a high or a buzz that many people liked it. And I was like, oh, that's totally natural, man. You're online, you're posting something, a bunch of people like it. That's awesome. I have this stupid husky bone video that's got like, tens of thousands of views on Instagram. It's a horrible video. I probably should have done it better, but it's always, even though it's just a stupid video that I posted and it means nothing, I'm still like, oh, right on. People like it. You want people to like what you say. You want people to like the things that you've made. For anybody who even makes a simple video that they post once on Facebook or something, there are always going to be a lot of people who who like that specific thing, and if they encounter that thing, they'll like it. Kind of like all you out there who like this video right here. You can hit the like button anytime, because it does help the algorithm and it helps my videos. But that doesn't even really matter, because I do this because I like it, not for ad revenue or anything. So it only means so much. But as far as our own lives, talking about our own lives online is very different than, for example, what I do. I talk about general topics. There's two areas of the YouTube world and the sharing social media world that I really avoid most of the time. And one of those is current events. Obviously, I did talk about the bank failure, and I've talked about a few things that only if they're important to me, not just because they're current events, or only if they stir my interest. But current events I don't talk about quite as often, and also my family, because I keep my family separate. It's not because I don't want to share them or I'm embarrassed. It's because I want to give them their own privacy, especially my kids. That's one way that the internet has kind of morphed into this fishbowl where people are looking into other people's lives. And the question of what do we share is very personal and subjective, but that makes a difference in the content. It makes a difference in the responses. But two people making content are completely different. One person's like, look at me versus, hey, learn something from me. And I've always tried to be the latter. I want to be able to teach people things. I'm not here to have you look at me. It's not about me. It's about my expression. And that's why I love talking on camera, because I feel like I can look at you and you know I'm not bullshitting you. Even if I'm probably full of shit, but at least I feel I'm trying to be as honest as possible. So honestly, I feel like a lot of originality is kind of dead online, and we're living in just this kind of dystopic, future of, I guess the dead internet theory is always a fun one. But anyway, there's still the tribalism and still the conformity online and the almighty algorithm. And it's become a production quality over quality content type thing with a lot of folks, I think. I just feel like a lot of what used to make YouTube unique was lost. But YouTube, like I said, is totally separate and unique from you know, other types of social media because it's video. So, yes. Salute, Ryan. Louise, good to see you. Says, how's Washington doing today? It's doing well. It's doing well. Yep. And I appreciate all your comments. I'm just flipping through. A toll fare. Oh, I heard about that. Yeah, a toll bridge to get across, I think on I-5. I live on the 205 bridge in the Vancouver, and I do travel 205 to get to work every day, but I definitely don't buy into the toll bridge bullshit. I pay taxes like we all do. Karis. I don't recognize that name, so hello, Karis, and welcome. Says the main issue for me is how social media distorts time perception. People would rather have an instant response than wait for a meaningful response. Ooh. Oh man, that is such a good one. Got to see that wording again because, yeah, it's the same way I feel about text messages. When you want to take the time to respond to someone, people expect you to respond like right away or through email, but also, yeah, online, social media. I've had people, I know, for example, I've had people leave a comment on one of the videos I made, something rude, and I would respond, and then they would respond probably right away for it. They were probably just waiting, and I wouldn't respond for a few hours or something. And by the time I went back, there's like 8 messages going, why aren't you responding? Why are you ignoring me? Are you scared? What's your problem? People get like really, there are some people with serious psychological issues online. Like I've dealt with some schizophrenic people who really thought I was talking about them in my videos and stuff like that. Because like I'd have a debate with somebody on one of my videos or on a different video, for example, even a random video somewhere where I disagree with someone, then I'd make a video that was about a totally different topic, and that person would come to my channel and be like, oh, you made this because of our argument on this video. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? It's kind of this persecution complex that some people have. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I was going to go down kind of a list of narcissistic traits and things that I've found interesting because there's this avoidance tactic that you'll find with a lot of people online. And the reason this is important is simple for me. It's to avoid conflict and bullshit in our own lives. So when I go online and I talk with people, I have a conversation, whether it's in a comment section or elsewhere, or in person. I want a person who's going to answer honestly, earnestly, and look me in the eye and mean what they're saying. Not try to crack jokes or beat around the bush or, bullshit me. There's a lot of avoidance with certain people. They will use a ton of fallacies and try to fool you into thinking they know what's best. Just best to avoid these kind of people. That it doesn't go anywhere. They are like control vampires. They usually want to control a situation. They usually try to put words in other people's mouths. They always have to be right, even when they're wrong, which I love to be right too. Don't we all? But if I know I'm wrong, You can prove me wrong, I'm all about it. And I've been proven wrong many times. There's often no boundaries, no respect. A lot of people will try to gaslight your concerns, have little to no empathy for you, be very self absorbed. Kind of like I said, look at me, which is in the title. Always want to blame others for their problems, push people's buttons. But here's the solution and the main point. And you do this with everybody in your life. First off, set some boundaries. Don't let people push you around. Don't let people tread on you. If you have a friend that shows up to your house every day and you're tired of it and you want your privacy, just tell them. And a lot of people are scared to actually express how they really feel to other people. Setting boundaries is the first and foremost thing you can do with everybody, close friends and family, as well as, distant relatives. Let people know where you stand in life and don't let people step on you. The next one, which is part of this, which is know your value, know your worth, and stand up for yourself. And I think that these, I don't know, these are important because I guess I've got to turn down my volume here because it's probably going to vibrate. I don't like it when it does that. Let's see, ringtone down. It's my friends. I told them I was doing a live cast and they decided to text me anyway because they're punks. Love you, Kevin. Love you, Scoey. The weird thing about doing a live cast is that you can't just put it on airplane mode to keep the phone from vibrating. So, anyway, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to communicate with the world out there. All right. Where was I going to go to next? I'm going to flip through the comments real quick. Adam says, the whole Trump derangement saga felt like narcissism. I don't know which direction, but yeah, there was a lot of it in both of those parties, if you will. I think there was quite a bit of frustration during the last few years, and COVID just complicated things. But looking back, I think a lot of us feel at least a little bit silly about some of the things that we believed a few years ago, or maybe the things that we argued, even if we're still right. Just the way we went about things. I feel like it's kind of a growth spurt, if you will. Like, not a growth spurt, but rather I don't know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We kind of regressed for a while and we're growing up as a society. I hope. I'd like to think that we're not just falling into chaos because we have some sense within us. But so anyway, back to the solutions. As I said, set boundaries, know your worth, stand up, don't try to change other people. This is a key one. You'll never change other people. They can change. We can change. I've changed a lot of my opinions over the last several years. In fact, I think if we don't change our opinions once in a while when we get new information, then if we can't change with new data when it comes in, then we're just basically stubborn and stuck in our ways, and it doesn't serve us at all. So, but if we try to change other people, it'll never happen. You plant a seed, and if the soil's fertile, it will grow. And if it's not fertile, then, so be it. Move on. We're not all meant to interact with all people. I just avoid people that are toxic in my life, and so be it. And another thing is, don't try to justify yourself to other people. This is a key one. Don't try to over-explain yourself to people, especially with a narcissist. You'll find that if you try to give them a long-winded explanation of where you're coming from, there will be a one-liner or something, and they don't read. They don't care. They just want to make you look stupid. And all it does is waste your own time. And but if you are totally wronged, stand up for yourself and make sure you speak your mind, of course. Most of us do, but a lot of people really don't. A lot of people are cowards, and they're afraid to stand up for when they're wronged. I've seen people, it's amazing how little people know about their own rights and how to protect themselves, Like somebody screws them over and hits their car and then tries to blame them and yells at them, and they're all scared of the person because they think that they did something wrong, because they're not able to think clearly and concisely on the situation and say, okay, no, this person's in the wrong and I'm going to say as much. Not in a situation where you're in danger, but where you just, where you should be speaking up. So, yeah, ignore incendiary comments from other people and all their bullshit. Know when to walk away from a discussion or a debate, and also know when to ghost people. If you got a toxic friend in your life, the kind of person who every time you go out with them in their car, maybe you're afraid you're going to crash or they're going to get pulled over for drunk driving, that kind of shit, or anything that might make you put you in jeopardy or danger, even bad judgment. And you choose to abandon that so you don't put yourself at risk, that's a good thing. It's just like when somebody quits using drugs and they stop hanging out with, people who still use. Sometimes you just have to do that. And the next one is to ask yourself if negative feelings are worth it. This is a key one. If they're worth losing relationships over. Sometimes it's best to just smile and nod and move on, especially if you don't have a lot of contact with a person. But, ultimately, we have to ask ourselves because likely the person's not going to change, whatever the situation is. All we can do, like I said, is plant a seed. Getting personal with people will backfire. You deserve freedom. It's your life, and you got to stand up for yourself. And so, it's sad just because I've seen and I've heard so many stories of people who are trapped in these relationships where it's just so toxic for them. And I know people who have been in these situations and just getting pushed around by other people who want to rule their life. People, and these aren't mean people. They're not violent people. They're just people who just don't see that they're extremely way beyond arrogant. So those are my thoughts on, I guess, narcissists and dealing with them. But that's in personal life, but it's the same thing online. And there's really no different. Don't buy into their bullshit. Just don't bother explaining yourself. Don't give the people the attention because even bad attention is still attention. I feel like if we're looking for people worth talking to and conversing with, it's like people who are willing to listen to all angles, people who can find the common threads and ideas within all of the topics, the things that we do relate on, rather than finding that one thread that's loose that doesn't fit in. Because there are a lot of people who do see things that way. So see what resonates with us and then discard what doesn't. It's really that simple. Especially knowing our own cycles. That's kind of a weird one, and I can make a whole video about that topic. But knowing our cycles, yeah, no, I'm not just talking about women's cycles. Men have cycles too. We have monthly cycles, weekly cycles. Some of them are psychological, some of them are biological. And understanding certain times of the day when you feel high or low and making the most out of that. But I guess that's a completely different story as well. Just a topic I think is important in the self-help category because ultimately self-help is really just help because we're helping each other, I think, yeah, as I focused on people's motives, it's only the reason I got into the narcissist thing is just because I was going through some old paperwork and I just found these papers. I was like, maybe I'll find something that I can have notes on that I can talk about during the live cast. But really what it comes down is what are people's motives? What's their incentive for doing whatever they do or being however they are? I find that the people I get along with the most are the ones that mostly mind their own business and don't push buttons or fuck with other people or want to be fucked with. But when they do get together, they're fun as hell, Partying with other hermits, I guess. My family is kind of a hermit kingdom here. Except for my youngest. He's a party animal. He loves to go out and explore. I mean, we like traveling outdoors and going places. It's just we're not big socialites, if you will. I don't like a lot of company and a lot of noise. And it's hard to think if I had one message to share about the benefits of social media as opposed to the dangers, as opposed to the negatives. It would be that we can express ourselves, that I can sit here with you and talk about these topics. I guess notes are pointless. I hate wearing glasses. I never wore glasses when I started this channel, and now I'm like getting old and, I'm not old, I'm just older. but I have to read the comments. I should put it on the large print. But I decided to do this video today at 4:44 just because it was earlier in the day than I've ever done a live cast, and I thought it would be a good time because some people on the East Coast or England or whatever, it's 7 or 12, whatever it might be. And I thought I might be able to interact with more of my subscribers that way that I don't always when I make a live cast. So anyway, I'm talking out my ass most of the time when I make a video, and you know that. What I mean by that is that I have some notes and ideas of something I want to discuss, and sometimes I do spend, hours throughout the day. Here's how I sometimes will do a video. Like I'll be watching a documentary and I'll start taking notes, like three words at a time, notes. And in my mind, I'll be able to process what those notes mean, and then throughout the day, I'll take more and more notes on different documentaries about the same topic, or watching videos, or reading articles, and then at the end of the day, maybe I'll make a video where I'll tie all those notes together and try to make a coherent video. Sometimes it totally fails. Sometimes it ends up being good. And post it, not post it. But if I forget and don't do it till the next day, I'll forget what I was even going to talk about. Like I won't be able to make a coherent sentences out of the sentences I'm looking at because I'm already doing research for something else. And that's how my mind works. It goes too fast. I can't settle on one thing. I'm always moving to things. It's always what's next, what's next, what's next. I'm a little, whatever, call it ADD or ADHD. I don't like the titles or any of that shit. But I also have bruxism, and I also have Tourette's to a degree, and I have twitches and tics. But none of that shit matters. It doesn't hold me back. I try to use it to my advantage, my intensity. It can be tricky because I don't know, sometimes it just seems like a total waste. Like, I think, well, I could take medication and cure this or this or this, but then I wouldn't be me, and I like being me. That's another story together also. I want to say hello to the commenters real quick here. I saw a couple. I saw Alum. There we go. Good to see you, my friend. And Amy. Good day. Good to see you too. It's good to see you. One. A book. Use a commonplace book. Notes you can build upon. I want to say I have dozens of different books on philosophy and theories and whatnot, and ideas from different authors, different philosophers. And I just don't. In the end, what I found was that. And I mentioned it before, but I think this is important. This is how I do this. I know specific philosophies and ideas and beliefs about systems, but no one philosopher can capture all of it. They're all missing something. We know this. Therefore, I never took the time to memorize which philosophers and connect them on the little grid chart to, what they believe, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I know the names, but just don't care anymore. Like I completely let that go, that part of my memory, and instead took all these philosophical ideas and processed what we're at. And what I found that matters is really finding thyself, understanding that there is no here nor there. There is no perfection. There is no good or bad. It's nihilism. It's in a way, it's not just nihilism. It's just a form of understanding that everything you've been taught is taught because it was the best we knew. And just because there's also the appeal to the naturalistic fallacy, appealing to nature, which a lot of philosophers did in the past, which is if it's natural, it must be normal. Certain people still do this, like Jordan Peterson. He's what I would call a faux philosopher. Because there was a question, why don't we have any modern philosophers? Young men, even older men, really, that still are these great thinkers. And we do. We've got a bunch of them, but a lot of people point to Jordan Peterson, who is really not at all. And it's funny because a lot of people love Jordan Peterson. And I think this is a great time to talk about this, because this is one of the toxins of the internet. You'll see videos with some background music and some quotes from Jordan, And he's said some things in the past that are true. Yes. But he more than not will hear one basic one line thing like be kind to people and put it in such a convoluted and complicated language that it will take up two or three paragraphs and sound like complete horse shit. It's what they would call word salad. And that word salad makes young men think that they're hearing something inspiring and divine and important. When he's asked to clarify, Peterson will just say, well, I'm just being misunderstood. The truth is, he might be, but I'm questioning whether he understands what he's saying. And yeah, I've read a lot of his work that really just kind of makes me cringe. A lot of it that makes sense too. But the point in using him is that people think of him as a deep thinker, and I started thinking about complicated words. This was a topic that came up in a video I did 10 years ago. And what I did say, or what I did find out was this. There was a time about 7, 8 years ago where I was really into the Bhagavad Gita and trying to understand Hinduism, Buddhism. I was fascinated with monks. And then there was part of me that kind of started to realize and have an epiphany. The monk's life is extremely selfish. So the monk runs off to the mountains, you know, hangs out with his own people, abandons society or responsibility of parenthood, and allows the next monks to be born by some other parent, right? These are questions that I started going, well, good for them for reaching enlightenment, but what about the rest of the people, and what about their interactions, and are they truly happy? And then I got to the point where I realized that there was no particular teaching or belief system that resonated with me completely, and there probably never would be. And but I just took the best parts of it and put them together into something that worked for me, which was kind of Buddhism light, if you will, Zen light maybe, and Zen is light. It's a joke, of course, kind of a nod to the fact that Zen is really just the indescribable, if you will. I've always loved the word ineffable. That's probably one of my favorites. So, the trial. I'm reading the comments. Chris. Oh, Mark Dreams. Good to see you, brother. Really good to see you, bro. Alum. Where were we? Oh, David Live. Good to see you, my friend. Traditional views are wrong and viewed as old if you even suggest them, seem to shun you and silence you for thinking it. Yeah, you're correct, David. That is happening. And Alan says it, don't meet heroes, they'll disappoint you. And that's kind of changing the idea that we're abandoning traditional values, because people are starting to realize what they've lost. And I think that, that's going to be a temporary loss. They don't go anywhere. It's just that people don't practice them. But some of them are stupid, and some of them were dumb trends. But it's kind of like some people hate Christmas, and to me, it's just another time to party. It's my pagan holiday, if you will. So, B4 Stables says, can you tell how long I've been following? Not from here. I have no idea. But I could look on my main thing, but it would take me a while, and I don't know really how to do that. So back to where I was getting at, and yes, David says he's a bit too intellectual where he jumbles really simple things more than necessary. I agree. Boom. That's exactly right. That's what I was getting at with Peterson. It's word salad. He puts in a lot of complicated terms, then he tries to tie it into biblical passages and tries to sound important. And this isn't a jab at Peterson himself. A lot of young men claim they've learned some valuable lessons from him. But it is ironic, one of his main lessons is clean your room. But there's some funny videos of him like in his office where it's totally disaster. But I know it's a metaphor, but it's just, ironic. He can't help it. But his defenders are staunch defenders and supporters, and they just cut down anybody who doesn't support him. They say, oh, you're a hater, or you're just less of a man. It's like, no, actually, if you really look at where he came from, it was controversial shit that made him famous. He wrote some good papers. He's a smart man, but he's not a philosopher because he is a psychologist or psychiatrist. He doesn't cover the wide breadth of every field. And he's also a little bit of a theist, which makes it complicated. It's hard to. Luther was, there's so many people who believe in religion who are also great philosophers. That doesn't negate a person being a good philosopher. Let me put it this way: philosopher, philosophia, it means love of wisdom. And I think that's why the internet was so awesome to so many people. For some people, it was just cheap entertainment. For a lot of us, it was a way to actually find and discover new things that we had no idea existed. I mean, it was, just think about it. I spend a lot of time looking at scientific papers and discoveries. I really don't like reading news articles. If I read a news article, I'll Google journal entry and try to find some sort of a science journal to consistently. Like most of us knew that there was a lab leak, but then we were told it was, a naturally occurring right next to the Wuhan lab. So, at any rate, yeah, I don't want to get into that one, but I just this comment that said, I find him soulless, emotionless. Yes, I know who you're talking about. And yeah, with Peterson, I know what you're talking about. He was taking benzodiazepines, I believe Klonopin, for a long time, I think it was. And he quit about a year or two ago and then had to go through treatment. He was actually went to Russia and he was put into an induced coma for 8 days. It turns out for the last couple of years to deal with his wife's cancer, and I'm not dissing the guy, but he'd been on benzos to deal with that. And those really take away your emotion. I mean, Valium, these benzos, they make you mellow, but they'll also strip you of your emotion. I don't think that's the main reason. He's just that kind of guy. But he cries a lot, though. I mean, and that was probably why he's this emotional kind of release. And it's really sad to see a person go through that and realize they were addicted and on drugs the whole time. They were talking about getting off drugs and cleaning your own room. It's the irony. He's a human. And that's the thing. I'm not here to insult Jordan Peterson. I'm here to talk about those, quote, gurus online that everybody wants to believe are perfect people. And they're not. It would be like the Trump syndrome. Just saying that name, Trump, instantly gets some of your feathers ruffled, whether you hate him or love him, right? It shouldn't be that way. He's just another dude. I have a newfound understanding of why people voted for Trump. I don't feel the same way I did in the past. And I understand how they were influenced by the media and by the bullshit that they saw. But at the same time, there were other reasons that people aren't paying attention to. And it goes on and on. And so my point there is that we all have different ways of understanding what's going on in the world. We can use the internet to communicate and talk about why things should be a certain way or not. Or we can just fight and say, you're a dumb shit, you're a libtard, or you're a racist. And where does that go? Where are we getting as a society acting that way to one another? I don't think we're failing. I just think we're feeling out. We're sticking our tentacles out. Sounds nasty. Get your suckers up in each other. We're rolling out our tentacles through the internet to really see how people really think and try to figure each other out. And I think that's fucking awesome. I do. I think that's going to benefit us in the long run, as long as we don't kill ourselves in the meantime with AI or something else. I think we should get into that discussion, but that's another topic altogether, right? I just saw a question. What was it? Who would you like to see run for president in 2024? Good to see you, Keith. To be perfectly honest with you, I can't think of a certain single human candidate that I would want. And I've made the joke, which goes along with what I was just going to talk about, AI. I said when AI gets smart enough, I'll vote for it for president. And, that's kind of a joke when I say that to people, but I honestly am not kidding. At this point, I feel like if we voted for artificial intelligence, let's say 4 years from now, it will be smart enough to be able to make decisions that no president could make accurately because it will have the data. Assuming the AI is programmed with all the right data, I think it would make better decisions for this country than any president's done. I know that's a bold statement, but I stand by it. I'll be right back. I've got to grab something. I mean, that doesn't include the nuance, and I'll get to that. That's why we need philosophers. That's another story. I heard somebody talking about all the different jobs that AI might take. And first the artists were like, oh, I ain't worried. And then they were like, oh, shit. And then poets and writers and then vloggers and video makers. Okay, an artificial intelligence program right now with just the data of scanning all my videos on YouTube would have enough data to make fake videos using my voice, my likeness, and talk about whatever it wanted. Why do anything anymore? You know what I'm saying? Why do your own videos when you can just have them fake and nobody knows the difference? And that's a scary fucking world. I really don't like that idea. It's the first time in history where I'm finally like, okay, now technology's hit a new pinnacle. Something that actually gets me a little bit wary, but also very excited. Yeah, I'd say it wets my jeans a little bit to think about all the possibilities in the future to in two different ways, maybe good and bad. Um, the idea that in the future, you know, already you can go to Bing, you can use that AI program, you can type in whatever you want and get the answer you want. We've got Open AI app on your phone. Hell, South Park just did a great episode on it where one of the boys had all the girls, you know, just oohing and eyeing because this one girl was, Bebe, was getting these beautiful text messages from her boyfriend, Clyde. And everybody went up to Clyde. They're like, whoa, what are you sending to it? And he's like, Chat GPT, bro. And he's just like, type in her text to him and say, send a love text to her, and boom. And that's pretty much where we're going. People aren't going to be themselves anymore. They want to be able to use an AI program to write their papers, to do their thinking. I mean, think about it. We already let Google do all the thinking for us. Even if we're looking up things we don't know, there are times when people say, oh, who was that guy on that one show? And they Google it, right? I always work our damn brains. And I'm saying this not to insult anybody for being dumb, but there are a lot of dumb motherfuckers out there. But just to say, all of us can be dumb at times. But I think we really owe it to ourselves to educate each other and our kids and ourselves as much as possible and not be sucked up by this kind of wave of ignorance that's been, it seems to be a universal thing through all different states within this nation. It's not a worldwide thing. There are some places in the world that are coming up and becoming more read and getting better educations. But here in the U.S., we're falling behind. You know, we're falling behind a lot. Stop texting, God. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's fucking crazy out there right now. I don't know. Just don't know what to say. And this internet that we have, this window to the world, you know, I should take off. I'm going to read the rest of the comments, but I'm going to start where I left off with Keith. Who would you like to see run for president in 2024? I fucking don't have a clue. I guess I'll be brutally honest. After I thought about it, I would vote for Bernie Sanders. And let me tell you why. Not because I believe he's the best candidate, not because I think that socialism is going to save the country. I'm not a socialist. It's because Bernie is honest and I believe he has good intentions. And it would be the same reason why people had voted for Trump, not because they thought he was great, but because he'd shake things up. And so if that was my only option, I think he's the only one that's functional enough and dedicated enough. There's a lot of other people that I respect more, but Bernie, I think he's a good guy. So if I had to choose, that would be it. David says Joe Rogan for president. No, see, there are some great people out there who would make a good president, but unfortunately, that would take away from who they are already. Joe Rogan is making a much bigger impact than he would if he was president. Like what he's doing now is so much better and so much more important. You know, be having the freedom to do that without having to be followed around by Secret Service for the rest of his life and deal with all that bullshit, be distracted. I mean, who the fuck wants to be president? I've had people. I talked to somebody I know. I won't say who because it's family and friends, but who said they wanted to be like mayor or something. I'm like, who the fuck wants to be a politician in today's world? I just don't understand it. There's only a few. I don't want to get into why people want to be a politician or whatnot, but some people do, some people don't. Some people, but it seems for a lot of people, it's kind of a power thing. Like, I can fix things that are broken. When you look at the big picture, you find that it's just so difficult to actually fix anything. Not that it's undoable, but just that really we get so distracted by the actual politics we have to deal with, we never end up getting the things done we promised to get done. And it seems more stressful than it's worth. But to each his own, right? Same with Joe Rogan. Stop texting me, Kevin. Let's see, Pete H. Oh, he's talking about that stuff. I'm just flipping through. Yep, AI. Yeah, Mark. I agree. Agree, man. Fuck yeah. Pete, let's go, Brandon. You see, blaming Joe Biden actually doesn't solve anything. I just want to make that clear. I'm not dissing your comment. I agree. I think it was kind of funny what happened with that. Just showing the media and how they're ignoring what they blatantly heard. But the Let's Go Brandon thing was always kind of silly because it was like people were angry that Trump lost. And that's why they hated Biden. And they started, finding things on him. And it's about, we got to stop being so divided on politicians. I really shouldn't even get into that because I just don't want to. Payphones, bring payphones back. Chris says my sister had her first case of ChatGPT doing an essay. It was not good, very vague. Absolutely, they are not perfect yet. ChatGPT isn't going to write an essay for you. There's no way you're going to get that nuance. You're going to actually have to do it for yourself. But you can get ChatGPT to write a general outline, and you fill in the blanks. So yeah, shame on her for using it for an essay. Explore sense and nonsense. Mark Dreams says, yeah, I don't like deepfakes, but ChatGPT I can see having a lot of potential. That's the scary thing, bro. Yeah, they're gonna fucking have like ChatGPT making out. So people are getting scam calls now. I just saw this on the local news. They're getting scam calls saying from loved ones saying they're in jail or they need help and need money. They're using the voice of the loved one, calling a family member, using deepfake voice. So once you have the picture, it'll even add that much more to it. That's what I was saying earlier. Somebody could take my videos and take, my voice and get a general outline of what I say, and then use that for like a deep fake, and call my wife and tell her, oh, I need help, I'm really screwed, I need money wired right now. And most people aren't gonna, you'd think you'd be wiser to that, but people can fall for anything. I almost fell for the Nigerian hoax back in 1998 till I inquired deeper. Ended up talking with this guy forever. Then I joined a fishing website where I would fish the fishers, put my email out to these guys, and then I would play like a dumb client and waste their time. It was a big thing back in like 2000. It was pretty funny. Yeah, I loved wasting their time and pretending, oh yeah, I'm gonna send this check out. I actually had them send me checks to my house. They were sending me like $5,000 checks and stuff, and I'd just be like, oh, I haven't taken it to the bank yet, pretending like I'm just some ignorant guy. And it's like, you gotta play with me, I'm gonna play with you too. I fucking hate scammers. So anyway, with the Chat GPT and all that, I wish my friends would. Now they're still doing it. What, you guys are chumps. I'm kidding. I love my friends. I'm glad I have real friends that are in the real world that I've known since I was a kid. I mean, I've known these guys since they were 12. Anyway, back to what I was saying, and I should get back on track here. Maybe I should go because I got off track. But no, I'm going to stay focused, and I'm going to keep chatting because there's more to talk about. I had some more notes about people's motives, about human nature, finding your tribe, not letting other people's tribes matter, virtue signaling, understanding people, getting likes. Where were we? Oh, God. Life's complicated, right? So, spinning wheels. Yep, Keith, I got dropped. Yep, it happened. I'm back. See, I'm back now. I'm back. Billy's back. Buffalo 66. All right. I bet your kids just slayed a zombie on Fortnite. Ha! No, my kids don't like Fortnite. My kids play other games. They play, well, my youngest son, he's been on the Oculus, playing Oculus games for quite a while. He loves playing with his friends. And my other son, he's 13, and he surprisingly is still playing Minecraft, except he's not just making the standard Minecraft shit. He's sitting there with I've been typing since I was in junior high, but this kid is like fucking amazing. He flies on that keyboard and he programs and he sets up all these coding blocks and does these programs to make his own little worlds in Minecraft and other games. And I just kind of let him flow on it. And I'll just say it's a great, since the topic's about the internet and about attention and about distractions. No gamers as to how you feel about these situations, because my 13, he's been gaming since he was young. I have inspired it. Maybe it is Fortnite. No, I. A lot of kids might be playing a parent playing Candy Crush or some shit, as opposed to my son who's sitting there coding games. I'm like, that I respect, and the fact that he's learning how to create these games, not just playing them. But at the same time, it's still screen time. He still wakes up and that's what he wants to do, and that makes it hard as a parent to know how much I should allow that, how much I should step in and say, no, do something else, because like, tell me, if I wanted to sit and watch TV, I watched TV. If I wanted to go outside, I went outside. I mean, there were some rules, of course, but there was no such thing as screen time when I was a kid. And because there was no shit to watch. I ain't gonna watch fucking OPB all day or some shitty show on, NBC or football or, sports ball. I wanted to watch cartoons and then I go outside and play. But nowadays, cartoons are on 24/7, and so people can watch whatever they want. And that makes it harder when your kid can pick up an iPad. I think at a certain age, there's nothing wrong with letting your kid be on the internet. But I also think it's important to know your specific kid and know if they're the kind that's liable to get hung up and say, my 13-year-old boy, he doesn't give a shit about Instagram, Facebook, or any of that crap. He just does his gaming thing. Maybe he's on Discord with some friends. Whereas a 13-year-old girl might be on Instagram and seeing models and want to be sexy, or somebody think that they're a different, feel different than other people, right? And want to change themselves because they see others that are a certain way, whatever it might be. And these fads are nothing new. When we were kids, that's worse for young people that don't know any better. That's part of why this whole, gender affirmation thing is going on. It's not because a lot more people are trans, for example. It's because a lot more people are confused and see their friends talking about it. That's not 100% of the people, but the fact that we can't even talk about that shows that there's something, a narrative going on. Like I said before, we need as humans to speak up about things we see. We might be totally wrong about that, but we need to talk about it. Kevin. Yeah, Kevin's like, sorry, homie. No worries, bro. No worries. I just had to text you to let you know because I couldn't turn it off. Carpo, I'm dealing with that right now with my 12-year-old, says Keith. We just had an issue with screen time this morning. It's a hard discussion. Dude, it's a really hard discussion because let me tell you, you got a 12-year-old daughter, then she's got a great justification for her time. I guarantee it, because girls are sneaky, sneaky snakes in the grass. Sorry, that's a joke, as Butters would say on South Park. There's snakes in the grass. Yeah, no, kids are sneaky. My son always has an excuse. He's always got a reason, like, well, what else would I do? And then he'll just act bored and be like, ugh, act depressed and sad. It's the shit that parents don't want to admit. It's like, you could say, well, I should just not let him have any screen time then. That doesn't work. It's always the non-parents who have some suggestion about how to deal with kids. Believe me, Any parent will not say shit like that because they know better. And it's especially bad when you've got like grandparents who grew up with kids like me who are in a different time. We did other shit. I went out. I was a skater. I skateboarded, and that was my thing. Take off with my skate in the morning, go out and ollie with my friends, go to the park, do rail slides and grinds, and go up into the woods and smoke bowls. But yeah, got older, and you know, the kids today have a lot more access to different things. Let's say that, and it's really sad to see a 2-year-old sitting on an iPad just to distract them. This has become very common. It's pacification through technology. You fuck technology. I'm starting to wonder if Verizon home internet I signed up for. I sure hope not, because I'm gonna have to cancel it if so. Because I didn't have that problem with my Comcast, but I hate Comcast. I really hate Comcast. The Discord draw is that it's a great place to share data or comments, pictures, and stuff like that with people. It's mostly for gamers, and it's designed for streaming people. People who do a lot of streaming and gaming. But it's used for a lot of other things too. Scott, Skelly apologies. Don't worry about it, Skelly. It's no big deal. One of the only times when I'm doing a live cast would be the time when my two bros are sending the most messages. So I figured I'd nip that shit in the bud right the fuck away and get it over with. So yeah, Scott says, Scott Ashby, I've been friends with that guy since, the same as Kevin, since we were about 12. Scott and Kevin in the comments are my best friends that I grew up with, and we've known each other for a very long time, and we've done a lot of amazing things together, things that I probably shouldn't say. And, it's kind of weird having two of your best friends in the comments. In fact, I'd love to invite four of my best friends into a live chat, just any of my old friends, and just have these discussions, especially Scott and Kevin, because my buddy Scott in there, he's very left leaning. My buddy Kevin's very right leaning. And I am a liberal, but I consider myself to be a little more centered than Scott, but a little farther, left than Kevin for sure. And it'd be great to have a three-way discussion, kind of trying to defend different things like gun rights. What should be the capacity of a magazine for a firearm? Should you be able to own this? Should you be able to own that type of bazooka, an AK? And then moving on into things like immigration. Should we build a wall? Would it be cost efficient? Would it even stop the problem when most people come over the border through an airplane? And then, all these discussions. Or they can come up to Canada and just walk through the woods. And so many of these topics are so nuanced when you really get down to them, that I feel like I need to bounce a lot of my ideas off of other people to get a full rounded view. And I know a lot of you agree. I've been making these videos by myself forever, and it sucks. So I'd like to have other people join in and actually get some other input, because that would keep things flowing pretty smooth. Okay, I think we're past the... So it's only been about an hour. That's great. I think I've got across all the points I wanted to get across. But I didn't really want to get across any points because, as I said, this was off the cuff. This was really about balanced views, fairness, seeing ourselves on the internet for what we are, just kind of attention whores, and we're always seeking something great. Bobby says, jealous of the mod thing 3 years ago, and this just as long. This is the most piece of shit fucking mod. Look at the shakes. It's all crunchy. But anyway. Blurry? Oh, Keith says, I've seen a bunch of your live streams and I've never seen it this blurry. Yeah, I would imagine that happens especially when everybody else is using the internet and I'm a little farther away from it, so sorry about the blurriness. Maybe when I do it next time, I'll do it in the, maybe I can try to move into this. Helps. Because honestly, I'm trying to figure this out. So I signed up for Verizon home internet for like $25 a month, right? Because my Comcast was like $100. And Tell me if it's less blurry in here. But yeah, I signed up for Comcast years ago. I've had it forever, and I just signed up for yeah, the Verizon one for like $30 a month or something. So it's saving me a ton of money, but I haven't actually committed to it yet because I haven't canceled my Comcast yet. And so I'm torn. I'm torn. But doing live casts is always blurry. Yeah. And it's kind of dark in here too. So whatever. Here we are. I'm doing my best, right? Thanks, Chris. You have a great night too, my friend. Kapoxy from Finland. Keep it real. You too, my friend. All right, where are we? David says, I quit the vape. I got sick and was coughing up oil. Honestly, I think it's more addictive than cigarettes. Coughing up oil? Well, are you talking about cigarette or weed? Because obviously, I mean, this is tobacco. You know, obviously not weed, but I do use the weed cartridges, but only once in a while. I'm not a big fan of them because I actually much prefer smoking raw cannabis. But when it comes to vaping, it's better for me than coughing up tar. So anyway, so I guess I should continue on. See, now I'm getting stuck. Do a 20-second vape review. God, it's hard to read the comments. The weirdest thing. All right, David says, anyone under 11 doesn't need a device. I had 30 minutes of video games every other day. I'd feel like having less time to use electronics, maybe want it more. Definitely standard 2 hours a day. Yeah, I can agree. I guess that would work for some people. Under 11, though, my son is 10. My youngest son, he's 10. And he has a phone, which we got him for his 10th birthday. And so it's really hard to when other kids in his class have one and we want to be able to communicate with him because he's an outgoing kid and he goes out and skateboards and rides his bike and he tends to get himself a little, he's overbearing and might get himself in trouble. So I'm like, all right, I'd rather him have a phone so I can communicate with him. And he hasn't shown himself to be an electronics addict. He doesn't really care. But then I found him over the last few weeks. I'll go in, the Oculus is charging, so he's watching shorts. The rule in my house is, my kids know this, and it's not a real rule, but no shorts allowed, and no TikTok. I will not allow TikTok on any devices in my house, and the kids know they're not allowed to watch TikTok. I mean, they can't TikTok YouTube, but TikTok, it's not about Chinese device capturing your information or any of that shit. I mean, that's a problem, of course. The issue is TikTok is preying on people's attention spans, and I feel like, my God, it's sad. So many different sponsorships and ads, so many different people selling so many different things. It's disgusting, I think I've talked about this 3 or 4 times, in the last couple of days, because I had this whole list of HelloFresh and NordVPN and all these different companies that people were sponsoring. And then I looked into them. And, okay, I have a lot of respect for YouTube channels that can take a topic and then look into it and find all the details and do all the sleuthing and make a video calling out with graphics, all the bullshit. I can't do that. I'm just really bad about putting it all together, but I do the research and then I take screenshots of stuff and I write down data, but then I just can't compile it into a video. I don't have editing techniques. And I know most of the YouTube channels that do these things have like a whole staff behind them. It shows just one guy behind a camera, but really there's a dude filming, there's people doing lighting and makeup and all that shit. And you're like, damn, it just looks like one dude doing his own videos, but the editing, everything's done and subbed out to other people. Every single video I've done, I've never had anybody help me on it. So, it's just me, a dude still in his room making videos. So there's so many topics I want to cover where I want to share all these fucking details and all these notes. Millennials' opinion on whether somebody's manly if they stay home with kids. That actually more millennials think that you're a weaker man if you stay home with your kids than boomers. Like shit that I had no idea. Like when I look at the statistics and the data, I'm shocked. I'm like, wait, that's not what I thought it would be. How do I share this so other people know it? And then I end up just making some general live cast talking about stuff. It's hard because it's hard to reach and match the data and the topics you want to talk about with the people who want to hear it, if that makes sense. And I don't have a general topic that I talk about on this channel. So today it's everything from collapses of banks to collapses of the internet to AI. And I'm just trying to navigate this world like the rest of you. Amy, what's up, Dick Beater? Dick Beater. Hey, Amber, Amy. I love it. Who the hell are you? And what? Am I Dick Beater? That's good. That's funny. I like it. Where was I? Oh, damn it. I flipped too far back here. Oh, David didn't get a phone till I was 15. Well, that depends on how old you are now. Chris says if you can do a last night, you can do time drops. Cool. No, because I actually don't have a good camera. I mean, I don't have a good laptop. I'm cheap. I'm poor, and I have a crappy laptop that doesn't even work. And that would probably be a better way to do it, but I just don't have it. Maybe I'll do another one another time, because I know that people don't like to watch shitty, grainy videos, and that sucks too. But hey, it is what it is. Wharf Rat, good one, Eric. I love that song. Never make money from it. Yeah, Chris, I agree about the sponsorships. There's so many that don't. Horrible, horrible. I found out there's 1,700 train crashes or derailments. That doesn't include all accidents, which are like over 5,000 in the U.S. And on top of that, there are 11 different chemical leaks from trains per year. And I started looking, there's 5 derailments per day in the U.S. And so I looked at the media and how they always pick up the stories afterwards. And that inspired me to do a whole video about how people don't see the data, kind of like gun deaths. Only 3% of all mass murders are caused by what they call an assault, rifle. 3 times, I was like, wow, that's a lot less than I actually even thought. And looking at the data, it's pretty wild. Same thing with the train crashes and how often that shit happens. But I don't know about Greece but I'm not surprised. They happen a lot. Bobby says, I want to buy one of your necklaces as a canoeing necklace. Sounds stupid, maybe. No, fuck no, dude. It doesn't sound stupid at all. I just got my necklaces out yesterday. I have them all on this big wire rack with a tie-dye sheet behind it. And I open it up, and they're all labeled, they're numbered and priced, and I'm like, I'm a dumb shit, because I haven't put these up for sale yet. I haven't made them available to the public because I'm lazy, and I'm not motivated, and I'd rather sit and watch The Last of Us, or watch a dumb YouTube video, than actually sit and make a live cast like this, where I do, maybe sell them, or do it some other reason. There's 2 main reasons that I'm afraid of selling my stuff. Number one, if I sell them online through a website like Etsy or eBay, I have to pay them plus PayPal, and everybody gets a bunch of your money, and that's bullshit. Then you have to ship it and pay shipping too. The second reason is because I'm just lazy. And the third reason is because I'm embarrassed, because I want to be able to make sure everything I sell is always perfect, and all my necklaces will never break ever, ever, ever in a million years. And I know that's not possible or feasible, but I'm trying. So I'm just trying to make them as decent as I can. But I use high quality knots and materials. Some I started making with Kevlar thread, and then I realized that somebody could actually choke themselves and get hurt with it. I was like, fuck. You want a necklace that can actually break if you get it caught on something, and I never thought about that. I'm like, my shit's made out of like salt. Don McDonough. Yo Carpo. Man, John stayed at my house about 10 years ago. He was one of the first YouTubers I ever really talked to and met, and I let him stay at my place, and it was great. He's a really good guy. It's good to see you, John. Bobby says, master of procrastination. No, you are not. I am the master of procrastination. I'm going to go grab the necklaces real quick for anybody who's never seen them, because then I can brag about the stuff I've made. Because I am going to put them up for sale soon, and I should show you what I'm talking about. I picked up this thing somewhere. I think it opens this way. So it opens like this. So as I was saying, so we have a whole variety of different stuff here. We've got everything from Fimo clay to, well, like these are made out of fungus. Basically, it's fungus and resin. So I take, yeah, I guess it's not even going to do any good to actually show them on here. But you can see the display. So what I've done is I've taken conch fungus, you know, those ones you see growing off of trees. I've taken ones that are dead or dying and slice into slices, and then add resin, like build a kind of a, put it in a mold or build a mold for it, and then pour resin around that. So it's, I don't think I have one on me right now, but I've made a ton of them. But it's basically, I use glow-in-the-dark resin and different types of resins. And I also have different bracelets and rings and stuff that are made out of like resin with weed in them and like seeds. And I've made so many things like that. My intention was to sell them all. And then time went on and time went on. Then COVID hit, and then they just built. And countless amounts and stuff that I'm still working on, earrings, and one day I'm going to actually list them all, but I'm just saying it's much more complicated than it sounds. I think I need to hire somebody, like hire somebody who's good at that. And the truth is, I feel the same way about just paying somebody to like edit my videos. If I were to make a great YouTube video where I was just sharing all my thoughts, and then just have a friend of mine or somebody I meet say, can you add pictures and graphics to explain what I'm talking about so I don't have to deal with that part of it? And you know, that's what makes a successful, say, YouTube channel is help, having people helping you. And we all need help, but I don't know if I could really find anybody who's as interested. I think honestly what I really want to do is just have normal conversations with people face to face and record it as a podcast on YouTube. I mean, it seems pretty simple, right? But you'd be surprised how hard it is to find people who want to talk online and speak out loud. Both of my bros there, you know, Scott and Kevin, they're not interested. They don't want to do that shit with me. So, you know, it is what it is. Got to find somebody. Oh, the necklaces. Yeah. Yeah, I do still grow tobacco as well. A whole bunch in here. I want to show you. Check this out. Oh, it's under my custom karaoke CD player. So for several years I've been growing tobacco, and I love it. I love doing it. I love growing it. This is 2021 Nicotiana Rustica, which is a Rustica tobacco. This is 2020 harvest. It's also Rustica. Most of these are Rustica, but I spent a lot of time learning good drying methods, and what I found was that just letting it dry on its own, usually fully on the stalk, it just smells so good. I just love tobacco. And no, I don't smoke anymore. I did for 25 years, but now I grow. Let me make it clear that there's Nicotiana, I think Helvetica. I get confused with. I wanted to say that I know that that's a font, but I also thought that that was a tobacco. But there's also the Virginia tobacco that most people think of as cigarette tobacco. Well, this stuff right here, this is up to 10 times stronger than Virginia tobacco. And it also contains DMT, yes, dimethyltryptamine, as well as several other compounds in small amounts. And it is potent. If you take one little hit of this stuff, I mean, you'll feel it. You know, it's not like regular tobacco. This was used by the native tribes as a ceremonial tobacco by, I think, not the Hopi, but it's considered a shamanic tobacco. I wanted to say it was the Aztecs, but there was another tribe, a tribe that used to use these. Anyway, very strong tobacco, and I've been growing it for about 10 years, and it's highly recommended because if the shit ever hits the fan, that's going to be a great thing to trade. That's my thought, anyway. So yes, I still grow tobacco. Mm-mm-mm. I'm going through comments again. When I flip my finger like that, I guess I'll just, it makes it kind of obvious, but... Cool. Oh, do some community posts with some photos. Yeah, I could do that, I guess. I have a hard time kind of bragging, and that comes back to the original title of this live cast, which was about kind of arrogance. Chris says, Josh, do you mess with ceremonial tobacco? That's exactly, yeah, I guess you've heard that at that point. Oh, you do? Okay, never mind about ceremonial tobacco. In Pennsylvania, yes, you could, I'm sure. Do you get it in seed form? Yeah, I live in the Pacific Northwest, and it grows in all climates. You just gotta know, you just gotta, pretty much does its own thing. Less water is better, but it's also, you don't want to drown. They are water hungry or water thirsty, but they also will grow in many climates because it's a different type of tobacco. Yes, you could get it in seed form. I sell seeds on my website, but now my website's down. Keith, if you, I don't know if you have shit. I guess maybe we could hook it up. I could send you some to your mailing address. I think I have some in here. I wanted to say I had a bunch, but I honestly might not be able to find them, and I don't want to make any promises I can't keep. Because I used to have a huge bag of seeds in here. I mean, it was big. But anyway.